Hi, this is James Jones, and welcome to the Wednesday night workshop. Now, as you know, never before in the history of the world has it been easier to get a quality product made inexpensively and sell it to a global market. It is now possible to contract out everything from package design, product manufacturing, order fulfillment, and even customer service. Literally, with just a mobile phone and an email address, you can be in business. But now the only question left is what product should you manufacture and for which market? Well, if you ask my friend Buck Rizvi about this, he would say hands down the answer is health supplements to the baby boomers market. Now, Buck spent 21 years in the corporate world. He was burned out traveling trains, planes, and automobiles, and he built his first supplement business while he was still working his corporate job, and he built that part-time into a seven-figure business. But that wasn't good enough for him. He ended up selling that business and started another business that he built into an eight-figure company. So in this presentation, Buck is going to show you his $0 to $10 million plan, a board game style blueprint for online health business success. So thank you very much for coming on, Buck. I'm really looking forward to this.
It's great to be here, James. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks for being on, man. So you can get started anytime you like, and I'm going to go ahead and mute myself.
Okay.
And I'll be in the background here.
Fantastic. Well, thanks, everybody. Thanks for being here. Let me just do a quick sound check with you. Everyone can see my screen. If you could just give me a shout out here, let me know that you can hear my voice and everything's coming through fine. Great. Margaret, Karen, Helen, Tracy, Eric, excellent. Thank you so much. Perfect. Let's get started. So this is, as James mentioned, 8 figures in 18 months. This is not my first time at the rodeo. This is actually my second time. As you mentioned before, I built a 7-figure business. This time I built an 8-figure business, and really excited about what we're going to talk about tonight. But before I get into it, let me make sure that I cover something that the legal folks want me to cover, and that is making sure that you understand that even though my success is completely documented and authentic, it's not to imply that you're going to make any money following in my footsteps. In fact, you most likely will earn nothing because most folks don't take action. I think many of you know that. So I have to make that statement to keep the feds happy. So why am I doing this? I've been doing this for almost a decade, as I was talking to James in the green room here, and unfortunately, there are a lot of what I would call hucksters out there. There are a lot of folks that are selling supplements and health information online, and they're doing it just to make a quick buck. They're not doing it to help lots of people, and they're willing to say things and do things that would make a lot of us very, very upset. And maybe a lot of you have had experience with companies like that. The other thing that I'm frustrated about is that us as a company, Real Dose Nutrition, which I'll get into in just a moment, is a very high quality company. And we're frustrated because there are not enough high quality companies that are doing it the right way for us to partner with. And by that I mean we don't always sell our own products. We have a handful of products that we sell that we formulate and manufacture ourselves. But we're also all promoting other people's products, but there are not enough companies that do things the way we do them, as I'll get into, have science backing their products and use ethical marketing systems. And the other reason I'm doing this, I think there's an opportunity to what I would call drive out or take out the trash, drive the crud out, and also help to burnish the tarnished reputation of the online dietary supplement industry. Because if we don't do this, it's going to make it harder for companies to do business, specifically online. And I'm talking about online promotions because we're at a point in time now, 8 years since I first started my first supplement company, where it is incredibly easy to target and identify people that you can sell products to. But unfortunately, people are taking advantage of that and taking advantage of customers using these online methods. So I'm going to talk specifically about my baby, which is Real Dose Nutrition, a company that I'm very proud of, and the steps that my partners and I went through to build Real Dose from scratch to $10 million in less than 18 months. And I kind of pinch myself when I talk about this, because when we mention this to other entrepreneurs, successful business people, people in the venture capital community, they are like, do you realize what you did? This is just unprecedented. People would take years and years to achieve the level of success that you guys have had in less than 2 years. So I'm really proud about that, and I think you'll get excited when I talk about some of the things that we went through along the way to achieve that success. So in addition to that, we're going to zoom in on some very specific areas, what I would call the key areas that gave us the most leverage. If you've heard of Pareto's Law, you know that you want to focus on the 20% of things that give you the 80% results, right? And so I'm going to zoom in on those. I'm going to cover a number of things. We talked about the board game blueprint, and there's actually 11 steps to that. But I'm going to zoom in on 3 key areas that are what I think are the most important. I'll also talk about...
Hey, Bud.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to jump in here, but I just want to make sure your screen's not changing. So if you're changing screen, you're still seeing that first title page.
Okay. Let me pause it and let me hit my screen.
Yeah.
It should say top 3 burning questions there.
No, we're seeing 8 figures to 18 months. We're seeing your first screen.
Mm-hmm.
Up top where it says show my screen, there should be a button there. Click that big button.
Yeah, I did. I clicked it. Let me say stop. And then I'm going to say...
This happens. Sorry about this, guys.
That's okay.
Here we get it right.
Do you see my background right now?
It's in the background.
All right. So let's go back to there. Do you see my... How's that?
Yes, we do. Can you go back a slide?
Yeah, let's go back. Let's go back real quick because I want to make sure we got the disclaimer, obviously, and we got the quick overview of reasons why we're here. Here's the Real Dose. I was talking about the Real Dose page. You guys are with me. I see a lot of people on the line, so everyone's there with waiting with bated breath. And then now we're talking about the zooming in on the key areas. Do you see that?
Yeah, I see that. I just saw a comment. Someone said that they actually are a customer of your Real Dose products.
Yay! Excellent. Well, okay. So one thing that I will talk about when I go into a little bit about Real Dose is the number of customers we have. But in addition to that, do you see the top 3 burning questions? James?
Yes, you're good to go now.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So I'm going to talk about the top 3 burning questions that are, because I know you guys are going to have a lot of questions here, and I've encountered these questions, and I'm going to make sure that your questions are answered. We are going to have a Q&A session at the end, and I'm also going to cover what I think are the ones that come up the most often about what I'm discussing this evening. In addition to that, you guys are here. There's a lot of people on the line, and I want to really thank you for being here. And I don't currently operate this newsletter, but in the past, I operated a newsletter with another business partner called Health Business Confidential. It was sort of the preeminent newsletter for people that wanted to get into the health supplement business and health information business. And as part of that membership, we gave away a very valuable ebook called what I call the Instant Health Copywriting Genius ebook. It was written by the same copywriter who wrote a $2,000 copywriting course for Clayton Makepeace. His name is Tony Flores. And it's a 93-page ebook on how to write winning copy for your best health offers. It's a $97 value. I'm going to give that to you absolutely free, and I'm going to give you information on how to get a free download link to that at the end of the webinar. So you'll get those instructions as my thank you for being here. So let's just get the preliminaries out of the way. Take the time right now. Grab an old-fashioned notebook and a pen. Close your web browser if you don't need it for GoToWebinar. Shut off your Facebook notifications. Put your Skype on Do Not Disturb. Put your phone on Do Not Disturb and vibrate. Really take the time to digest what I'm going to give to you, because this is extremely valuable information. And getting this kind of detail from someone that has not built just one successful health business, but 2, is something that doesn't come around very often. So let me preface this by telling you a little story. And I call this my tale of 2 acquaintances. These are 2 guys that I know. And they're both guys that I actually like from a personal standpoint, but they're very different in terms of their philosophies. I'm just going to call him acquaintance number one and acquaintance number two. Okay, number one, he treats customers like they're friends. Acquaintance two thinks of customers as marks, and by marks I mean people that you would just make money from, take advantage of potentially, and not really take care of. Acquaintance one, he likes to get certified testimonials. He wants to make sure that the people are having success and a great experience with his products. Acquaintance two, is willing to cut corners. He'll get what I call ringer or fake testimonials, or he'll get people to do before and after photos where the before photo or the after photo is actually the before photo. They kind of switched it around where they were actually skinny and then they gained weight later, and did some shady stuff like that. Acquaintance one is very transparent and wants to make sure that any terms and conditions that he has for buying his product are very clear to the customer. Acquaintance two, I call them Mr. Fine Print or no print. The customer's not really sure what they're getting into. They use a lot of things like forced continuity and other business practices that I would not use in my business. Acquaintance one is very much wants to make sure that any claims are substantiated, that they're backed by human clinical studies. Acquaintance two, he can tell great stories. He can talk about how the ingredients were used by African tribesmen 1,000 years ago or whatever and spin a good yarn. But that's not really substantiating why the ingredients are going to have the desired effect. Acquaintance one, he's welcomed by the online ad networks. Acquaintance two, he's shunned by the ad networks. By that I mean, they look at his offers, they shut down his accounts, they don't allow him to advertise, and he has to go look elsewhere to acquire customers. Guy number one, he's got a respected business. He has customers that buy from him day in and day out, year after year. And acquaintance two, he burns through businesses. He's reinventing himself and launching new companies because these companies are not sustainable because of the way he operates. So I kind of think of this as the tale of two acquaintances, but it's really a story of winners and losers. What do winners do to be successful in the health info and health supplement space, and what do losers do? And I'm going to really squarely focus you on the winners column, because that's where I feel I am. That's where I want you to be. So my story is kind of interesting. I spent 21 years working for the man. I'll just say that. I was in the corporate rat race for 21 years. I spent years and years of my life, I wish I had all that time back, commuting 2 or more hours a day in rush hour traffic. I was the consummate road warrior. I knew I was the guy they feature on those rental car commercials. I was living out of a suitcase. I was always eating junk food. I was overweight, actually obese, and I was away from my wife and kids all the time. And I really regret that for my 2 older kids. I have 2 younger kids now that I see all the time. But my 2 older kids were a casualty of that. And I also was in debt up to my eyeballs, and I was living the American dream, quote unquote, living paycheck to paycheck. I had a beautiful house that I had built. I had new cars and all the trappings of wealth, but I was literally in debt up to my eyeballs. And I got the wake up call. I got laid off when my wife was 7 months pregnant with my second son, Lucas. And I made a fateful decision. I said, never again. I'm not going to allow this to have someone allow someone to have that level of control over my life. I'd always dreamed of having my own business, and I've tried multiple vehicles. I've tried MLM, real estate investing, consulting. Maybe you have too. I had a very fateful event occur for me where I invested in myself, and I attended a $4,000 seat internet marketing conference. And I discovered what I would call my Eureka formula. And for me, that Eureka formula was in-demand health products plus ethical online marketing, something I knew something about marketing online, equals success. And I felt that, I've been a fan of dietary supplements and health for a long time. I felt, hey, this is something that, and I knew that the baby boomer market, for example, is a great market to sell to. Felt that this could potentially work for me. So what I did was I actually took a lot of my own money and I invested in myself. I invested in research, sought advice. I sought out contract manufacturers, packaging folks, and people that could provide fulfillment for dietary supplements. And I launched my first dietary supplement company back in April of 2006. I started selling my own product line. These are my products, my formulas, being shipped out of my fulfillment center, and I got my first few sales. And by October, about 6 months later, my business income now exceeded my executive salary. I had a great job. I was commuting up to New York. I was making $150,000 a year, a lot of money to anyone, right? And I was able to exit the corporate rat race forever. So now, fast forward, April 2011, I joined forces with two business partners, and I launched a new supplement company, Real Dose Nutrition. And that's the company we're going to talk about. Generated over $10 million in sales in less than 18 months. And this is what I'm really excited about. And thank you so much, whoever said that they're a customer of mine. We have, literally 3 weeks ago, we tripped the counter over 300,000th customer that we've helped. And these are 300,000 people around the world. And I'm sure we have people on the line that are here in the U.S. and also from other places outside of the United States. So I'm really glad that you're here because yes, there's something for you here, even if you're not in the United States. Trust me. So what does my life look like now? I live in beautiful Boulder, Colorado. These are the Flatirons here, very near my house right now. It's one of the most beautiful parts of the country. I take my kids now to school every morning. I eat dinner with them every evening. I tuck them into bed every night. I read my 5-year-old daughter stories at night. I love those moments with my kids. I eat a leisurely breakfast with my wife in the mornings after I drop my kids off at school. And this is my wife and I. She's the beautiful one, obviously. And now my commute is 60 seconds instead of being hours. And I'm able to take trips to Europe every year. In fact, we spent a couple months in Europe this year. We took a side trip. My wife and I went to Norway, to Stavanger, Norway, and saw a beautiful island here. That's where that picture was taken with the beautiful flowers behind us. And we had a second honeymoon in that island. We can do that every year, and we can fly her parents in. They're actually here for the holidays for the next few months. It's a wonderful thing now, all because I have my 100% internet-based, virtually staffed dietary supplement company, and I can manage it from anywhere on earth. So we're going to talk about what I promised you, which is the board game blueprint for putting together a dietary supplement company. What are the steps? What are the things you need to pay attention to? And then we're going to focus in on those key areas that I mentioned before. So if you saw, maybe you didn't see this particular board. I mean, this is my version of, if you guys have ever heard of a game called Candyland, if you've got some parents on the line, you'll know that Candyland is one of those really easy, simple games that kids love, and parents love it too because it's really easy to play. There's not a lot of setup and complications associated with it. So here's my version of Candyland, and kind of start at the beginning, go through all the steps, you make it to the end. And I have a Dora version of it, which has the winner gets to the end, which is a fiesta, and that's my little fiesta. So the first step in launching a dietary supplement company is, and thanks, Patty. I don't know what you said about Candyland there. I'm just looking at the comments here. Is what I would call product research. It's knowing what market you're going to want to get into. So I'm going to give you, and we're actually going to get into ways that you can select a hot market, and I'm going to drill into that because that's one of the key areas. But you do want to make sure that you select what I would call a house is on fire market. You don't want to do things. People are not really that excited about preventing things from happening, but if the house is on fire, they're probably going to call the fire department and ask them to put the fire out. That could go for, whether you're having heart problems, blood pressure problems, weight problems, mental focus problems, what have you. So that's a very key area that you want to focus in on. The other thing is you want to make sure that you're not the first person to the party. And everyone comes to me, and this is something you want to write down. I hope you're taking notes about this. Is you want to make sure that not only are you picking a market that is a house is on fire market, but you also want to pick a market that there are a lot of people already selling products successfully in that market, because you don't want to be the first one to the party. You don't want to be the pioneer. So that's an important point. Another important point you want to make. When I started my first product, I actually identified that there were not only one, but there were at least 2 companies that were selling 8 figures of just that product to the market. And there are kind of tricky ways that you can do that. One is you can do your research and see who's selling, and I'll show you an example of that. And the other is you can actually be a secret shopper. We're here in, getting close to the holidays, so all of us are used to shopping. But if you ever picked up the phone and called and ordered something, you can actually get into a nice little dialogue with the online sales rep and say, how's this product doing? How many units are you selling? You can get a lot of interesting intelligence. I remember when I selected my first product, I found a company that was selling. They were so proud of how much they were selling. They did like McDonald's. You guys remember, when the signs McDonald's used to say millions sold, and it said billions sold. Maybe it'll be trillions sold soon on those signs. Well, they were bragging. They actually had a counter on their website, and they would actually show you the exact number of orders they were selling. And it was a real-time counter, so you could guesstimate their revenues, and that's how I guesstimated that they were doing 8 figures. So those are some key important points you want to know about product research. Let's move on to the virtual team. Who are you going to need to have on your team initially to be successful? I love virtual teams. I live in Boulder, Colorado. We did learn something. We made an error by thinking that we were going to open an office here and have everybody in one box and under one roof. But I really enjoy having a virtual team. In fact, one of the big benefits of a virtual team is that you can hire people not just around the country in the U.S., but you can hire them overseas, and you can find people that are very inexpensive to cover key roles in the company, including everything from media buying to webmaster to developer to customer support. In fact, we have a large chunk of our customer support team is serviced out of the Philippines, and they do a fantastic job of handling phone, email, and chat for us. We do have agents in the U.S. as well, but we're finding that the Filipino agents are doing a great job for us, and they can be 25% of the cost or less than agents in U.S. and Canada. So something really, really important to think about. Core team, who do you need? Well, I like to think of core team as people that might need full-time versus part-time versus project-based. And so I'll kind of break it down for you. Full-time, you might want to have at least, when you start out your company, might want to have at least one person that's full-time customer care. When I launched my first company, believe it or not, I was the customer care. I actually had the phone, was forwarding to my cell phone. I was answering the emails because I really wanted to be close to the business and see those first sales come through and hear what the customers were saying about the product. So, but for you, I would, because you can go offshore and there are ways to do that, I would recommend having a full-time customer care person, maybe a part-time webmaster, or maybe even a project-based webmaster, a project-based designer. And sometimes you can actually go to places, I'll give you some resources like 99designs.com, where you can get things like logos made and websites built on a project basis very, very, very inexpensively. It's not, you guys are in a great position right now where it's very inexpensive to get these things done, whereas back in my day, we didn't have all the tools, we didn't have all the access to the offshore people that you do now. In addition to that, you're going to want to have an outsourced fulfillment center and an outsourced contract manufacturer. That's actually the next step. But those are all part of your virtual team. And the beauty is you can be kind of like Apple. Apple does not manufacture its own products. It contracts out most of its products to third-party companies in Taiwan and China to make those iPhones and those iPads that we love so much. So the next step is obviously an important one: formulation and manufacturing. And it's a scary one because people think, wow, I'm actually getting something made. Now I got to go sell it. This it doesn't have to be that scary. In fact, now there are ways to contract formulators or actually get the formulation assistance from the contract manufacturer, and many times they'll do that for free if you use them for the manufacturing. That's one way to do it. The other way to do it that I like, that's very low risk and low cost, is to work with trusted manufacturers that have off-the-shelf formulas, quality formulas that you can test out in a private label context. You can put your brand on them and then test out a market. And if it works well for you, maybe you can then go and create your own enhanced formula or improved formula based on that. And that's something that we've done very, very successfully at Real Dose. It's we didn't do it with our first product, but we've done it with at least 2 other products, and that's worked out very, very well for us. The nice thing about doing it that way is that you can typically buy off-the-shelf private label formulas for maybe 200 or 300 units, whereas if you're doing your own custom formulation, you'd have to invest in a couple thousand units or more right out the bat. So that's formulation and manufacturing. Again, it's contract based. They're part of your virtual team, and they will offer formulation assistance. I will say one thing though about formulation and manufacturing. You do want to have a differentiated offer, and I'm going to get into this as one of the areas that we zoom in as to how you can differentiate your formula from what else is out there on the market. So this is the part that I love, and that is technology. Technology has, we're running at internet speed now. And 8 years later, since I first started doing this, I went from having to do my own tech and understand HTML and do all these things and knit together the technologies. Now you have one-stop solutions. And I'll give you a couple here, and you should write these down. We use Entreport, which used to be called Office Autopilot, to run our CRM system, to run our email marketing. And it also has a shopping cart and an affiliate management system built into it. So really it's a one-stop solution. I also use, not for Real Dose, but for other businesses, I use a solution called Infusionsoft. So there are technologies out there that you can go and set up very inexpensively and give you the capabilities of a multi-billion-dollar company, because they're software as service solutions, they're pay-as-you-go, pay by the drink. And the other nice thing is that it's easier than ever to go and create the sales funnels, the web pages and the web page steps that people go through in order to get them to convert. And you can outsource, video, the production of the video to people like, the web techs or video techs in the Philippines, to help you produce those videos and get them done very inexpensively. So let me just say, technology is your friend. It's not something to be afraid of, and in many cases, you can operate this technology yourself. It's not something where you have to have a professional CTO or web dev at your side that's very, very expensive, helping you step by step. So next step is what I would call internet marketing systems. We touched on that when we talked about creating the sales funnels. When I first started in this business, I mentioned to you that $4,000 internet marketing conference that I went to. Well, right around that time, I met a very, very well-known copywriter by the name of Gary Halbert. And Gary and I had dinner together, and he was he wrote the sales copy for my first product. He charged me, I remember that to this day what it was, $15,000, sent him a check, he wrote the copy. I made it go live. I sent some pay-per-click traffic to it, got my first few sales, and the rest is history, right? The beauty is that now there are things that you can do. There are systems in place. There are formulas or models that you can follow, and there's rather inexpensive copywriters that you can retain to produce new things such as video sales letters and back-end email promotions and things like that make it very easy to assemble a high conversion, pretty much pre-optimized sales conversion process. And I would call this the internet marketing systems that we use at Real Dose, and we know are successful in what I would call the direct response dietary supplement space. So that's an important aspect of what you need to have in place. You need to have a sales funnel that you can send traffic to, that engages, the ad engages the right prospect, you target the right prospect, you bring them to a sales message. If they don't buy it right away, you have a mechanism to remarket to them, and that mechanism can be sending them ads on Facebook or sending them ads on elsewhere on the web, and then eventually they come back to your website, get more messages, and then make a purchase. And part of that is going to use technologies like I talked about, the Entreport, and things like video sales letters, which are actually very easy to put together these days. The next step is what I would call protection and compliance. And by that, I mean, many people come to me and say, hey, Buck, can't I get in trouble with this business? Well, how do I keep the dogs at bay? And the two things you have to worry about, obviously, are regulatory compliance and civil action. And I'm very proud to say that we've not had any problems with either of those in either of my two businesses in the 8 years that I've been doing this. So I'm really, really proud about that. And that's because I've had the right people on my virtual team. And one of my virtual team members is an outside counsel that reviews not just my formulas, but they review, in fact, you get regulatory review from your contract manufacturer when it comes to your formula and your supplement label. But they also review your marketing, and they make sure that you're not making any unsubstantiated claims about the product. Very, very important. This is not something that remember the acquaintance 2 in the loser column? He wouldn't do that. He wouldn't care so much about that. I care deeply about that, and it's not that expensive. Also, something that goes hand in hand, it's just sort of cost of doing business, is product liability insurance. The great news is, yes, it's cost of doing business, but the cost of product liability insurance has been coming down steadily over the years because of the success and the safety track record of the dietary supplement space. So these are two important things that you want to pay attention to when you're building your dietary supplement company online. Speaking of being online and getting customers, you want to make sure you can get the product to the customer. And no, this is not MLM. This is not network marketing. This is not putting product in your house and having parties and handing boxes to people. I've done that kind of business. My wife and I had a soy candle business. We sold products online. She manufactured the products on the kitchen table and got pregnant, and then my production capacity went out the door. None of that. This is about putting inexpensively the product into a warehouse where it's protected, and then picked, packed, and shipped on demand as you send orders to them automatically from your CRM system, such as Entreport, your shopping cart. And so we use a outsourced fulfillment center. They warehouse the product for us. They have the technology, in addition, software service technology, to keep track of the inventory and then report back and connect to the rest of our systems, so that our customer care agents, if someone calls them up and say, "Hey, where's my stuff?" they can very easily verify that the product has gone out. Here's the tracking number, and away you go. This is the way things are done in the 21st century, and it can be done very, very inexpensively and done on a per order basis, as opposed to making massive investments in infrastructure. The next step, this is where I'm so proud, and it's something you need to really pay attention to if you're going to have your own 8-figure business and have success in the online dietary supplement space. And that is making sure that you have an attitude of service and that you provide the best experience possible for your customers. This is what I call the customer support systems. The thing that we are so proud of and done so well, we've been doing this for 3 years at Real Dose. We have a BBB A rating. We're not even an accredited company. We have an A rating with the BBB. That's because we take care of our customers. We have liberal return policies, and we're very ethical with the way we market our products. In addition to that, we provide, and I recommend you do all three. There's a way you can provide phone support. Although when you first go out the gate, you might just provide live chat and email, and that's very inexpensive to do with offshore resources in the Philippines. But we've expanded that to include, answering the phone, having an 800 number, and again, using very inexpensive technology and platforms like Ring Central that you can use to direct calls and have them ring phones anywhere in the world. But it's very important that you have these systems in place, including help desk software. We use a platform called Help Scout, but there's many of them out there, Zendesk, etc., that do a great job and make it easy for you to support your customers and do it very, very inexpensively. And this is where people typically gravitate to first. And it's kind of funny that we're getting to this on the 9th step of the 11 steps. But traffic is, once you've done the other things right, traffic almost becomes a non-event, because if you've done the other steps correctly, you're able to send traffic, you're able to start testing and then optimizing. And if you've done your homework, it becomes easy. And traffic can come from referral traffic from partners. In fact, that's one of the ways we started getting our first sales at Real Dose Nutrition. They're very easy ways to go and acquire and attract partners to send you traffic, because they have customers and they want to monetize them on the back end. And then the other thing is to buy traffic, again, pay as you go, on online platforms such as Facebook, Google, native ad native ads, and others. We actually expand well beyond that to things such as direct mail and DR radio and other platforms. One thing that I'm going to say here is that you cannot focus on one channel. I think of traffic as multiple channels, and this is something you want to write down. One channel might be Google, but what if Google says we don't want anyone to sell supplements today? If you've only focused on Google, sorry, you don't have a business any longer. And I tell you, we've had to learn that the hard way. But we now no longer have dependency on one channel, although it's nice to have a channel that performs extremely well, but that always makes us feel a little bit nervous. So we go and say, things are going great over here on Facebook. Maybe we better put some focus on Google and native ads and Bing, Yahoo Bing, and radio and all these other things, so that if any one of those goes out, it's sort of like having an 8-cylinder engine. You lose one cylinder, you're still running. Okay, I'm a pilot, and we have redundancy in the airplane, because if something goes out, you want to make sure the engine still runs. So that's very, very important. And I will say, I know there may be some folks here that have experience or doing the selling on Amazon thing. Amazon is a channel. And in fact, we have been an Amazon, we're a top tier Amazon partner with their Pay with Amazon program. And we do sell some products on Amazon, but we don't treat our business as if Amazon is the business. And that's something you need to be really aware of here, is that the vast majority of our revenue comes from off of Amazon.com. Because if Amazon says, we no longer want to carry any more supplements, you're screwed, right? If you're trying to sell your supplements through Amazon.com. So very, very important that you have some flexibility there. And this is what I would call the promised land. Because so many companies make the mistake of, if they don't follow my teachings here of selling great products, using ethical marketing systems, taking care of the customer, that there is no back-end revenue. I've talked to too many entrepreneurs that say, hey, what are you doing with your list? How are your customers doing? Are they coming back and buying from you again and again? Say, nah, I don't really have a relationship with my list. They're not really buying much from me on the back end. That's a travesty. You want to make sure that your customers love you, they are loyal, and they buy from you day in and day out. And that's what we've done at Real Dose. And it's a travesty that we don't have more quality partners and quality products that we can promote on the back end. I can count on a few fingers of one hand how many partners we're willing to promote on the back end, because it's hard for us to find high quality products that are backed by human clinical studies and that are backed by ethical marketing systems and people that have the same attitude that we do here at Real Dose. So, but if you do the back end right, you can get, in our case, we're getting 30 to, in some cases, 50% of our revenue from the back end. That, as I mentioned, is the promised land. And that includes not only selling your products as you add more products to the mix, but you also want to think about what are high quality third-party products that you can sell to your customers. Because you're not going to have a solution for everything. For example, we don't have a blood sugar control product, or we don't have a heart product currently other than our omega-3s. So we might recommend somebody else's product to our customers. And that gets us to, remember that slide of me with my wife off the coast of Stavanger, Norway? I mean, this gets to your ability to have true mobility, where you can be elsewhere, not stuck in an office, maybe bent over a patient, or dealing with a crazy boss in some crazy meeting, and being in a cube or in a box where you don't want to be, in traffic or whatever. That you can actually be running your business from anywhere on Earth, or you can live anywhere on Earth, because you can manage and operate your business from there. And it's not exactly full autopilot where it's just completely a machine that you're pulling the handle on, but you can put managers in place and you can systematize things so that it does run fairly autonomously, and that allows you to focus on your business and doing things strategically. And that's what I mean by autopilot. So that is, in a nutshell, the 11-point board game Candyland style blueprint. And I gave you some very, very important nuggets, but I'm going to drill into 3 big things that I want you to focus on, and that I think these were the sort of key things that we did that drove our success at Real Dose. And I'm going to call these are the mistakes you want to avoid. Mistake number 1, you see that I've rolled snake eyes there, if any of the gamblers on the line. you don't want to have undifferentiated or low quality product. By undifferentiated, I've had a bunch of people, maybe there's some people on the line that say, hey, I want to sell some of that Garcinia. It's hot right now. I want to sell whatever Dr. Oz has just talked about on his TV show. And you saw Dr. Oz just got whacked, not too long ago. Talking about the claims that he's making about the ingredients he's covering. Being a Dr. Oz ambulance chaser is not the way to build a successful long haul company. Okay, and when we selected the ingredients for our first product, our decision points were, hey, can we find something that is maybe an ingredient people haven't heard of, because there's actually an advantage to that. Number two, we want to make sure that it has human clinical studies, what I would call the gold standard, which is double-blind, placebo-controlled studies, and it's available from a reputable supplier. And we actually came up with a formula that had not one, not two, but three unique ingredients that met that criteria. We blended it into our own formula, and we were able to leverage the scientific data in our marketing. Because you can do that when you select a branded ingredient that has studies on that ingredient, and you put it into your supplement at the same dose as what was used in the studies, and have it from the same sources, then you can make those claims. But too many people make this mistake. They go and say, oh, well, I heard the green coffee is popular. Where can I go get green coffee? Oh, let me go to, there's a supplier that has some stuff from China. It's only $30 a kilogram, whereas the stuff that has the brand name on it, that has the science, well, they're $200 a kilogram. That $30 a kilogram stuff sounds really good. Wrong. That's the wrong move. Or they might say, maybe I don't need to put as much into it. I'll hide it in a proprietary formula, and no one will know how much is in there, so I can save some money that way. Again, wrong. You don't want to do that. That's what I would call the low quality approach to making a product. You want to pay for the right ingredients. You want to put the right dose in. You want to make sure they come from the right sources. And there are big differences. You might think they're not, but things like green coffee. You can get green coffee from places like from China or elsewhere, or you can get it from where it's sourced for the studies, which is a place in Madagascar, and you're going to pay $150 to $200 a kilogram instead of $30 a kilogram. Big deal. So those are my points about undifferentiation. You want to make select ingredients that are not necessarily the Dr. Oz flavor of the month or flavor of the week. Pay for the branded ingredients, leverage, and then you'll be able to leverage the research in your marketing. The next big mistake is, and this is what losers do. Unfortunately, I talked about my friend and how he would spin the good yarn. Hype-based selling, making unsubstantiated claims. If now you don't have the ingredient, you don't have the research, you don't have the branded ingredients to tell the story about, you're gonna have to resort to hype to try to get your point across and shout using the megaphone. Wrong move. You'll attract the wrong type of customers, and the customers are going to wind up being unhappy, return the product, refund the product, or potentially complain about you or worse, right? So hype-based selling is a recipe, maybe a short-term recipe to make some money. It's a long-term recipe for disaster, and it's not going to put you in the winner column. So the next or third of three mistakes is what I would call business unfriendly or a customer unfriendly business practices. By that I mean all of us have had an experience with working with a great company, an Apple, a Zappos, whatever company that does a great job in your country, where they have great customer service, great quality products. And if you have a problem, we're coming up on the holidays. If something doesn't fit, don't you want to be able to just take it back and have them handle the return with a smile, either give you your money back or let you try, get something that fits? That's exactly what you want to do. Unfortunately, companies in the dietary supplement space do a couple things wrong. Many of them in DR space, they do forced continuity, where they give you a trial offer or a free bottle offer, and then they put you onto a continuity where it's overpriced to begin with, and maybe they're charging you, $80 or $150 for a product that they probably paid $3 for. And the other thing is, if you do try to cancel, either they ignore your request, or they put you through this long, voluminous script of how to try to keep you, separate you from your money or keep the money, keep them from having to refund your money. Wrong. So what we do at Real Dose is we're extremely customer liberal. We do not judge our agents based on how long they spend on the phone with the customer. We're not doing a lot of scripts to get them to save the sale. We certainly want to understand where customers are coming from and understand why they didn't have a good experience so that we can improve our experience. But we're not trying to figure out ways to keep their money. Okay. And so we'll refund them instantly if they ask for it. And, I can't tell you how many times the customers have come back to us and said, I can't believe how well you treated me, even though I refunded. You know what? I'm going to try your other products. I mean, it's like if I buy shoes from Zappos, my wife has bought shoes, they arrive, they didn't fit. You think she's not going to do business with Zappos again? No way. They put a return label in the box for them to send the shoes back so that she can order a pair that fits. Yes, it costs them a little bit more money, but the loyalty that instills is tremendous. So what you want to do is what I call the success triad. You want to have great products promoted via ethical marketing systems and backed by amazing support. I mean, that's what great companies like Apple and Zappos do, right? They make it easy for them. You know what you're getting. First of all, you're getting a great product with the right ingredients at the Real Dose. That's our message at Real Dose, and I recommend you have a similar message. And they use the correct type of marketing. Yes, it can use direct response principles, and there's nothing wrong with that, as long as you're not making unsubstantiated claims. You're backing everything up with hard science. And then the support is there so that if they do have a bad experience, maybe they didn't lose weight, or maybe they didn't, for some reason didn't like the omega-3 or whatever product that you put on the market, you let them return it. And guess what? They're going to tell friends that they had a great experience. If they don't have a great experience, they're probably going to tell 20 friends that they didn't have a great experience, and you're going to start getting written up on Ripoff Report and other websites, or getting a bad rating on BBB. That leads to, if you do it right, it's going to lead to success, and that's why I call it my success triad. So let's switch gears for a moment. Before I do that, let me check in with you guys. You guys, can you still hear me? Give me a shout out that you can still hear me, you can still see my screen. And all right, great. Roger, Karen, thank you so much. Marianne, welcome. Awesome, thank you. Eric, George, Mark, Bert, excellent. Thank you so much. Well, I figure you've made it this far. You might want to hear a little bit how to uncover some hot markets. And I'm going to give you sort of my 3-step process. It's one of many tricks that I have in my bag to identify what I call the house is on fire kind of market. It's not that prevention is your enemy, and we all want to prevent from getting any kind of health issues. And that, at the end of the day, that's the name of the game. But to really have your success quickly in the dietary supplement space, you want to focus on these ultra hot houses on fire kind of markets. So one thing that I do like Amazon for, I know I picked on it a little bit there, is in terms of focusing on it as a channel, which I don't recommend you do. But one thing you can do with Amazon is there's a lot of data available on Amazon.com. And one thing they have, if you go to Amazon and go to the book section, they've done a great job of organizing their books by category. And I've just gone to Amazon recently. I'm looking here on the left-hand margin, and I see the books are organized, at least this section is under health, fitness, and dieting. They've got, 20 different subcategories here. And under diseases and physical ailments, there are 83,156 titles available in that one huge category. That's separate from diets and weight loss, which is its own category with 41,533 titles. Pretty interesting. Okay, so let me drill in. Thank you, Jeff Bezos. Let me drill into diseases and physical ailments and take a look at what is here. And I noticed that, wow, a lot of things. And I'm kind of scanning up and down here, and I found that of this whole set of 50 items, infertility has 6,599 titles alone. And it kind of dwarfs many of the other subcategories here. Really interesting. And, I sort of know intuitively, I've heard that there are lots of people that have problems having a baby. And let me ask you something. You guys just chime in right here on this call. Just type in the thing. Do you think infertility is a prevention problem or a house is on fire problem? No one knows? There it is, on fire. There you go, great. The house is really on fire. When you want to have a baby, you really want to have a baby. So, there's a lot of titles available there. So maybe that's a good place I might want to zoom in. And I don't sell any products in the infertility space, but this could be interesting. So let me take it to the next level. And the third step in this process is I want to make sure that there are products being sold to this market. I don't want to be the first person to sell products to the infertility space because you might have heard the saying, pioneers get slaughtered. There's for every one person that a book's got written about, Lewis and Clark or whoever, there's probably 100 or 1,000 or more that got killed. So I definitely preach the gospel of you want to go into markets where people are buying things, that people are successfully selling products. And so what I did is I go to my friendly neighborhood Google search engine, and I just typed in infertility supplement. And guess what came up? I have here at the top, these are, I guess, the Google shopping results. And I've got 5 products. I've got Pregnitude Reproductive for $40. It's got a 38 reviews, 5-star rating with Walgreens. I've got Fertilade value pack for almost $55. I've got a male fertility supplement for $65. And over here, I've got Fertinatal 1 pack for $75. Really encouraging to see, number one, more than one company, more than one product, and pretty large ticket items. These are expensive items. It means people are willing to spend money for that house is on fire. Because if the house is on fire, money doesn't really become an issue. What becomes an issue is I want the problem addressed now, right? That's the big issue. So this was my quick step, the sort of 3-step process of using, looking at a high level, zooming in, and then confirming that there are products in this space that are being sold successfully, and this looks like there are. My next step would be, if I were to take it to step 4, is start maybe buying products, especially if any of these are sold direct from the company online, maybe calling up their 800 number, buying the product directly, asking some Columbo-style questions of, how much are you selling? Is it doing well? What's the feedback been? And that sort of thing. But quick and easy way to identify a market that you might want to get into. And heck, this looks like a cool one. So what is it that separates winners from losers in the successful online dietary supplement space? And I think a big one here is getting Sherpas. I spent literally well over $100,000 in getting advice and education on how to launch my first dietary supplement company, and I continue to spend tens of thousands of dollars a year on advice and education. So I think that's a very important point. Is that if you want to map, if you want to get to the X marks the spot where the treasure is, then you're going to want to have Sherpas like I've done. I've hired Sherpas in all areas of formulation, packaging, the care area, making sure that I had ethical copy written and reviewed by my outside counsel, that I knew where to go and get traffic inexpensively and how to test and optimize and scale it, how to deal with compliance issues and make sure that I was impervious to civil and regulatory issues, and then what tech should I use, because tech is something that changes literally every 6 months. It seems like new systems are coming online all the time, and the price points are coming down all the time. And then how to create a successful marketing funnel, how to create a system that educates somebody and gets them excited enough to buy my product. These are things that I highly recommend you do, is that you find the right mentor or mentors to take you through this. Otherwise, it's you go out on safari, you're the pioneer, and again, you get slaughtered. So let me just say, I know I've covered a lot here, but and some of it I may have made it sound almost too easy. But I want to step back for a moment and tell you there ain't no tooth fairy. There's no magical fairy that's going to come floating into your home, wave a magic wand, and say, "Here you go. Here's your successful 8-figure business, and you can now run it from anywhere, and you can have the lifestyle that you want." It just doesn't exist. If you want to create a business like this and help lots of people and be in the winner column, then there's hard work involved. If you came on this call thinking that, hey, I was just going to have it magically happen and I want the big red easy button, then you're probably in the wrong place. But if you're interested in continuing this conversation with me, and again, I mentioned to you that I have key reasons why I'm doing this. One is a frustration about who the actors are in this space, like that loser acquaintance I talked about, and wanting more partners that I can do business with, and teaching people to do it the right way. And I've done this before, and I feel like there's an opportunity for the right kinds of people to be educated how to follow in my footsteps and do it the right way. And so what I've decided, and James, thank you for creating this opportunity for me to share this valuable information to the folks on the line, is I've created what I call a 6-week intensive coaching program. There's only so much that we can cover on a call like this at night, and I've given you so many valuable gold nuggets. But there's so much more that in my education and hundreds of thousands of dollars spent on my personal education and investment in consultants that I can convey to you to help you be successful if you're interested in following in my footsteps. And so what this program is 6 weekly live online training sessions. It covers all of the steps that I just went through: product research, setting up your virtual team, doing it for literally pennies on the dollar, formulating your product, getting your first product formulated, or using private label products and how to do those intelligently at low cost and low risk, selecting the right technology platforms at the lowest cost, putting together effective internet marketing systems, making sure that you are impervious to civil and regulatory action as you're doing this, getting the product delivered inexpensively but reliably to your customers worldwide, because we ship, everywhere from the U.S. to Canada to Australia to New Zealand to the U.K. and Europe, and making sure you have those customer support systems that are effective and low cost, and then making sure you have traffic systems and you're leveraging not just one like Amazon, but multiple, so you can scale this into as big of a business as you can handle, and then executing your back-end revenue strategies, because you will, if you follow my model, you will have very loyal, happy customers. And then you'll be able to do things such as what I did, go out to Europe for a couple months, have your parents come and, visit if you want them to, or, be able to take time off and not have to live in the cube, or, have a lifestyle that you're not happy about. This is the online training component of this, and this is going to be, every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern when we launch the training. But in addition to that, I know that people are going to have questions. And this is what I wish I had. I wish I had a consultation with somebody that is a practitioner, that is way ahead of me, that has already, seen all of the roadblocks, has seen all the manholes. And so I'm going to provide 6 additional weekly live Q&A calls where you have access to me. You get all your questions answered. I'm probably going to also have time to do some hot seats to talk about people's specific business issues. And we're going to give you real-time feedback. Basically working shoulder to shoulder with you on your business as you're building it. And then I'm going to also I have a lot of friends in this business. I do masterminds. I'm invited to masterminds where some people might have to spend $25,000 to be a part of mastermind. I'm invited to be there because of, the company I represent and the status and the success that I've had in the industry. So we're probably going to have some drop-in guests on these live Q&A calls to, have them answer your questions and be a part of the hot seat events that we're going to put on during these live Q&A calls. So I'm very, very excited about this. But, in addition to that, I knew that there were some other important things that need to be in a coaching program like this. Number one, you probably want to know who I do business with. Because it's like, Buck, where am I going to get my private label formulas done at a low cost, low volume run? Who can I rely on to give me a differentiated formulation? Who can I rely on to make my first product, and where can I go to get it fulfilled at a reasonable price? All of that, all the partners, all of the mistakes that I've made have resulted in what I call my VIP partner Rolodex. You're going to have access to that as part of the intensive training program. Plus, everything is going to be recorded if you can't make the calls into a private membership area, so that you have perpetual access to it as an extremely valuable reference and partner for you in your business. So in addition to that, I felt that there were a couple things that could really sweeten and make this something super special for some of you who kind of get it, who know that having access to me and what I've done and I'm doing with Real Dose is something that just does not come around very often. The last time I offered any training was 6 years ago. So 6 years is a long time. And I've just basically been heads down, focused on working with my partners and building the business. And I felt that this was an interesting opportunity and time to provide this kind of education. But I'm going to, and I haven't done this literally in over 6 years. For the first 10 people that register, I'm going to provide a 1-hour private consultation with me. That's a $2,000 value. And in addition to that, I've decided to have a live event here in Boulder, Colorado on January 23rd to the 25th. If you're one of the first 20 people to register, you'll get a seat at that live event. And let me tell you, the last time I did that, as I mentioned 6 years ago, I had a live event. People paid between $8,000 and $10,000 to be there, and they were happy to be there. And what's going to be covered in that live event? Let me call it a super concentrated version of the 6-week intensive. But in addition, we're going to have very special guest speakers, including my partners, the partners that I work with and contract out to, as well as some other very special speakers. And you're going to have access to network with me and other very successful entrepreneurs and other people that are attending the conference. It's something that, if you've ever been to an event, I've accelerated my business so many times by attending key events in my life, key training events like this, and I'm including a free seat to this as what I would call a fast mover bonus. So let me just summarize what's in the program. We've got the 6 weekly live online training sessions. That's a $5,000 value. We got the 6 weekly live Q&A calls. Those will be on Thursdays, by the way, again at 1 o'clock Eastern. They will be recorded and stored in the members area. You've got the Rolodex, which is, I can't even put a price point on because it's taken me literally 8 years to put this together, and people that I trust and know in my contacts. The membership area, which has a value of $35.40, and the fast mover bonus with me, the 1-hour consultation with me, a $2,000 value, and the fast mover bonus of the ticket to the 3-day Health Profits Live. I can't tell you how valuable that opportunity is at $8,000 value. The total value of what I put together here is at a minimum $23,540. And I can tell you, I have spent well over $200,000 in my personal education just to kind of get here, plus the fact that I built 2 successful businesses in a row. So I've decided to make this available at a single tuition price of $39.99. And that is what I would call a screaming deal. But James and I have had a conversation. I really want to open this opportunity up to the right kinds of people. And I know that there are going to be things such as an investment in inventory. We'll actually get into some of that in the Q&A, but there's going to be an investment in inventory, some startup costs to get you up and away. I want to kind of invest in you and give you a kind of a grant, if you will, towards your business. So what I've decided to do is cut the tuition from $39.99 and basically make an investment towards your business. We'll call it a Friends of James discount of $1,000. So today, the tuition, and this will be good through Sunday, but today's tuition is $29.99. And if you want to decide to be one of those fast movers, here's your opportunity. Sort of the gates are open. Go to healthprofitsacademy.com/James. Health Profits, that's all lowercase. healthprofitsacademy.com/James. You can go there now. Hopefully you'll be one of the first guys to get the first mover advantages of the call with me and the seat to the live Health Profits event. But I want to invest in you if you've got the same attitude of what I call the winner column, the guys like myself and my friend number 1 who does the right things and wants to have the right guidance in doing this. And I'll take this one step further. I'm going to make this a no-brainer for you, and by offering what I call my better than money back guarantee. Attend the training. You go all the way to the very last day of the course. If you're not walking tall, if you don't feel absolutely empowered by your newfound skills and the tools and the business connections that I'm giving you, that you have what you need for a successful online business, I'll happily refund every penny of your tuition, Plus, I'm going to kick in an extra $100 for your trouble. That's why it's a better than money back guarantee. So you can check that out at healthprofitsacademy.com/James. If you're on the call, because I can't believe that we got almost everyone still on the call. It's just amazing and unprecedented. So go to healthprofitsacademy.com/James. And I know that we probably have some questions. So I want to make sure that I answer them and get them taken care of. So James, are you still there? I'll just check in with you. But I do want to make sure I get some.
Okay.
Awesome,
Yeah,
man.
I am here. I'm going to shoot up the questions right now.
Okay.
And I just want to get that link into chat here. Healthprofitsacademy.com/James. Let's see if this
Healthprofitsacademy.com/James should get you there.
Add a www to the front of that.
Yeah, you could put www. Either one should work. Mm-hmm.
There we go. And that should work now. Let me
Okay.
just test that.
Hi, Tricia. How are you? I see some people there chiming in here. I know we got some questions. We'll try to get them all answered for you. If for some reason we don't get a question answered, I tell you what, I'm gonna personally follow up with everybody. But let's see if we can get most of the frequently asked ones taken care of.
Okay, so here's the big one. You've already covered a little bit of this, but let's go over it again in a little bit more detail. What is a reasonable startup cost for this business? Because beyond the training, we're all adults here. We know there's going to be some investment in inventory. And Buck and I talked about this beforehand, and I said, Buck, you've got to help people out with this, and that's how we got this price down to $29.97. So, can you talk a little bit about the startup cost?
Sure. I mean, that comes up a lot. It's sort of the burning question, right? One of the top three. When I started the business, it was a heck of a lot more expensive to get started. The biggest expense you've got is product inventory, and you're typically, back then, and even today to some extent, you've got companies that want you to do minimums. I talked to some companies that had 1,000 unit minimums. There are other companies that have 3,000, 5,000 unit minimums if you're dealing with some of the larger players. And if you're looking at, obviously it depends on the product that you're manufacturing. But let's say it's a $7 a unit product, then 1,000 units would be $7,000 to manufacture those. That's far and away your biggest expense. The great news is that, as I mentioned, there are companies that have off-the-shelf formulas, and because they're already manufacturing them, and if you use the right companies, they're quality formulas and differentiated. You can put your brand on them. You can do some testing in that market, and then when you're ready, you can then go and use your success to fund formulation and manufacturing at a larger scale of your own product. And that can be done in the 200 to 300 unit range. So I'm guessing with the manufacturing, the private label product, plus some startup costs associated with building your website, getting your initial marketing funnel set up, and maybe some copywriting, that you're looking at, I would say, a minimum of $5K to start up a business. That's what I would go in with now, and using the techniques that I teach, how to do it, using some of your own elbow grease and knowing where to get, your virtual team at literally a fraction of the cost of having an onshore team, and other things that I talk about. You'll be able to to parlay that into success going forward.
Okay, excellent. And when you say $5,000, does that include that investment in the training here too?
No, that would be separate. That would be separate from the training. So I'm talking about the startup costs associated with the business itself. So that would be inventory, getting the website set up, getting the sales funnel built, the costs for the technology and fulfillment and things like that. Typically are pay as you go. So you're kind of paying a monthly fee as you go, and you can defray that expense as you're selling the product.
Okay, and several people said, I'm already doing supplements. Is this training just for newbies?
That's a great question. The number of people that I have that I know for a fact, because they've already made arrangements with me to be in at the live event, for example, but also to be in the 6-week training. We have a number of very successful supplement company entrepreneurs that are going to be in this program right alongside you, because I cover everything from the beginnings of starting this starting your own dietary supplement company, but all the way through the scaling and doing it the right way. Not many, very, very few people have built an 8-figure business and done this on a sustainable basis. So the short answer is yes. If you're already a successful supplement business owner, you still want to be here, because there's, if you're like me, there's always that slight edge. There's always that, new thing that you're going to want to learn that's going to make, allow you to make a pivot and grow your business even further.
All right. And what if people are already in ASM, which is a product, the Amazing Selling Machine?
Okay.
Is just for people who are not in that program.
Is this okay? Is the question, is this for people not in the ASM program, Amazing Selling Machine?
Is it only for people who are not in ASM, or if someone is already in ASM, will they get benefit out of this program?
Well, as I mentioned before, in fact, I'm friends with Jason, and I know Matt. So I'm really impressed with what they put together, and I think it's an amazing program. I think Amazon is a huge behemoth. My only concern about solely focusing on Amazon, and I know a lot of people, because I know Matt, made and run successful supplement businesses using Amazon as a major channel. My only concern is the number one is is an enemy to folks, because if you're only focused on one thing, if you have one marketing channel and that marketing channel suddenly stops performing, you don't have a business. So that is the most dangerous number in marketing. So you want to make sure that, as we did, that you have multiple channels working. Yes, you can have Amazon working, no problem, but you also want to have Google, Facebook, Bing, native ads, DR radio, direct mail, and other things working, and your back end. And that's critically important. Because what happens if Jeff Bezos wakes up one day and says, well, there's too many people selling protein powder on Amazon today, and they just don't look like they're legitimate companies. Let's put a stop to that. And in fact,
already done that.
I think they've already done that.
They've already restricted the health and whatever the health, the supplements are under a category called health and something else.
Right.
And already restricted that category.
I'm sorry, I don't want Jeff Bezos to fire me. Right? Remember my slide where I said I got laid off? I don't want anyone to have that level of control over my business. And so that's why I work diligently, and I teach people how to not make themselves susceptible to that scary number of 1 when it comes to marketing. So yes, the short answer is yes, it's for people in ASM, it's for people not in ASM. And in fact, I think it's even more important people in ASM, if they're doing supplements, should consider this program.
Okay. Okay. Here is the sort of the last and next to the last question that we have that they're being asked frequently, and then we're going to go into very specific questions. Buck, if you have time.
Oh, sure.
Let's do it. Very specific questions. So, but let me ask this first.
Okay.
Is this opportunity just U.S. based, and if not, then what markets outside the U.S. U.S. are the market to?
It is certainly, if you're in the U.S., this is squarely for you, right? There are advantages because of the DSHEA Act and the accessibility of high-quality dietary supplement manufacturers and fulfillment centers and so on. The ecosystem that we have here in the U.S. is really unprecedented, and I'm able to ship product anywhere in the world. So that's a great story, right? I can send, and I do ship product to Canada, Australia, New Zealand, UK, EU markets, South Africa, and so you can too. So the beauty is, it doesn't matter where you're based in terms of your ability to set up what I've set up. And you can operate this company, you can operate a company like this from anywhere in the world. In fact, I'm in the process of building a second home in Lithuania. My plan is to go and live there for large chunks of the year. And I can, we have high-speed internet, and I can run the business from there. So it really doesn't matter what your nationality is. If you have the fortitude, if you have the the same philosophy that I do about building a great company and helping a lot of people, and then also enjoying the rewards of doing so, then you can do this, and you do not have to be a U.S. citizen to make that happen.
All right, excellent. Wow, I just have a comment here I want to read because this is pretty amazing.
Okay.
These people, there are some people, especially maybe with three-letter names,
Okay.
who don't like supplements, who say that supplements, don't do anything. And I can tell you, my dog is on a supplement, and without that supplement, she would not be able to move every day.
Okay.
And she is like a puppy. But I want to read this from Max S.
All right.
Max says, I'm a stage 4 terminal cancer survivor, and I can say that I'm alive today only due to getting the right supplements at the right time. Supplements rock.
Wow.
And you're absolutely right. And
Amen.
yeah, amen. So anyway, let's get on to some other questions here. Would you, and I'm not really sure if I understand this question, but I'm going to read it anyway,
Okay.
because maybe you understand it more. Would you agree that cosmetic formulas are the same as health supplement ingredients?
That's a great question. In fact, the skin is the largest organ in the body, and many of the manufacturers that I work with also will manufacture skincare products. So, and you can look at anti-aging, and talk to my wife. She spends so much money on skincare, and once she finds a product that she loves, she buys it again and again and again. So the same philosophies in terms of ingredient selection. You can get products formulated, you can get products manufactured, you can then use ethical marketing systems, and obviously making claims substantiated by clinical research. All of the same things apply to the skincare market.
All right. And
one question that because I saw this come up a few times. Folks were asking if there was a payment plan. If you haven't gone to that page, two things. One is, I promised you that ebook bonus. Make sure you go to that, dial up that page and pick up your ebook, okay? So go to healthprofits.com, healthprofitsacademy.com/James. In the lower right corner of that page is the link to the ebook. So if you go to the footer, the last link on the right is the link to the ebook. So at least go to the page, check that out if you haven't gone there already. And the other thing is there is a payment plan available on that page. So there's a single pay and then there's a 3-pay. Just to answer that question.
Excellent. I didn't even know that.
Yes, sir.
So,
Yeah.
Okay, so, and that answers a couple of questions here. So I think Marianne asked about that earlier. So Frank wants to know, what sort of net profit does a company in this niche realize? And we, kind of went over this, and I just want to say that, past performance is no indication of future performance. No. Buck's company is over, 8 figures?
We are over 8 figures. Earlier on, initially we set a target of 20% or 20 or 25% net margin, net profit. For every dollar that came in, our goal was to keep 25 cents or more. What we found in practice, because we were aggressively, our customers are very loyal. They buy from us again and again on the back end. Our back end profit margins are like 75%. So if someone's already a customer and we just send out an email to them saying, hey, here's a promotion or here's a new product that we've launched, we enjoy 75% or greater margins. If they're a new customer, we're investing heavily to acquire new customers. And if you know anything about the direct response space, many companies like Guthy-Renker, if you've ever seen products like Proactive and other products that are sold by Guthy-Renker, they will sell at a loss because they know that people will stay on there, buy the product again and again, and they're willing to make money down the road in a year or 18 months. What we found is that people loved our products, and we were so successful with our marketing systems that we could make money on the front end, even in a very competitive space like weight loss online, very, very competitive space. But even so, we want to be more aggressive about how we go about acquiring customers. So we're willing to drop our margins on the front end in order to have more customers on our rolls, so that we can eventually launch more products and have higher margins on the back end. So in practice, our net margin recently has been closer to maybe 15% in that range. But I think eventually we're going to get back to our goal of 20 to 25% net margin. Now, I know people might think, hey, well, gee, I'm getting a higher percentage, say, on Amazon, and I'm maybe making 65% or something like that. But what you have to remember is that Amazon is not a scalable engine in the sense that you can just go and say, press a button, buy media, and have all your sales ramp up. Because there is a cost associated with buying media on Google, Facebook, or what have you, sending traffic to an offer, whether it's on Amazon or anything else. So that's what affects your cost per acquisition and would affect your margins. So hopefully I answered that in enough detail, James.
Okay. Yes. Excellent. Sorry, I've got tons of questions.
No worries. So someone asked, can they join later? The program will be open through. Let me give some other details. So the program this offer will be open through Sunday. Obviously, the fast mover bonus. If there's any inkling that you want to be a part and work with me on this program, get in now so that you can secure your bonuses. So you can get the one-on-one call with me, and so valuable the seat to the live event. I'm thinking about. Actually, haven't made it available for sale, but I'm thinking about making those seats available for sale again at $8,000 a seat. So I can't stress enough how valuable that live event is. If you can't make the live event, you get that as a bonus. I'm going to record the event, and because I think the knowledge that will be shared from me and the other speakers is going to be so valuable that alone is going to be worth $8,000. So I'll make the DVDs available to. At just the cost of fulfillment to anyone that can't make the live event. So don't feel like you're going to miss something. Of course, you would miss the rubbing shoulders and all the other activity that goes from networking there. But there's no risk because I've done the better than money back guarantee. I'm that convinced that what I'm teaching for the right people that have the right attitude, that are in the winner column, that want to follow my prescription. I'm that convinced that what I have works, and you want that guide. I would never go to Mount Everest and try to summit Mount Everest and not have a Sherpa with me. You want the Sherpa that's been there summited 50 times. They just do it like it's nothing.
And we have a question about that. Can you explain what a Sherpa is?
Yeah, a Sherpa is it probably comes from that area, Nepal. The Nepalese guides that would take you up to the top of Mount Everest are called Sherpas, and so they're a hardened, experienced. They know where to go. They know what routes to take. They know how to put the lines up. They know how to pitch the tents. They know how to make sure you have the food. They know how to light the fires. They know what to do if there's an ice storm or snowstorm. They basically keep you alive, and that's what you want. You want somebody that is going to, hopefully not allow you to kill yourself when you go out there. Because if you take the wrong moves, you could spend a lot of money, waste a lot of money and time, and not have success. Whereas if you have the Sherpa, they're going to take you down the grooved path and help you summit, get there, have it be a great experience, get you back down, and you can share the video and the pictures with all your friends and family. That's where you want to be. And that's what I've done. And I continue to do. I have mentors, I have Sherpas, I have people that help me. Of course, they're at a different level because I'm at a different level with my business and the people that I interact with. And in fact, in many cases, I'm going to be sharing my Sherpas with you as well.
Okay, here's a really good question. I'm kind of interested in the answer to this as well.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry about that.
Sure.
Just a second here.
Someone said there's no link on the page for the ebook. I'm pretty sure I double checked it. Down in the footer of that page is the link. Down, you scroll all the way to the bottom, and go to that last link on the right in the very bottom of the page. There should be the link for the Instant Health Copywriting Genius ebook. But
okay. sorry, here's the question I was looking for. What is the basic ratio of cost of goods versus retail price that is profitable? So in other words, I buy
Great
the
question.
product for X amount and I sell it for Y amount. Is there a certain ratio that works out well?
Yeah, I mean, you typically want to have, I would say, 5 to 10 times markup, 5 to 10 times cost.
That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah,
So if I'm paying $5 for a bottle of supplements, I want to sell it for at least $25, right?
at least, and that's probably on the low side, right? So that's why I quoted that range. Some people would say 6, 8 to 10 times, if you want to be more conservative. And the reason you need that is you're out there marketing using direct response techniques, and the cost of acquiring customers online is not inexpensive. So you want to make sure you give yourself enough margin to invest in advertising, and a lot of your cost of doing business is going to be your advertising expense.
I think that's going to be shocking to most people that you can get that much markup. But
Yeah.
if you think about it, if you listen to the ads that are running, I hear ads all the time on the radio. I listen to a lot of talk radio, and I hear ads for supplements there, and they're generally in the $49 and up range.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, so it might shock you when you walk into Whole Foods and you see the supplement bottle sitting there and it's got a $50 price tag for a multivitamin. Some of these products are very high quality, and I tell you, my cost of goods is probably 3 to 4 times that of one of those, that colleague number or acquaintance number 2 who would go and get the cheapest ingredients possible and try to get something, manufactured for $3 a bottle, whereas when I manufacture a product that I know is going to work, I'm typically looking at a $10 to $12 a unit cost. And, you would think that makes it more difficult for you, and it can in terms of getting the margins that you want. But if you go and then tell the story about the research that's backing those ingredients and why it's more costly and why this is why people are willing to invest in in an iPhone that costs $600 or $800 without a plan versus go and get a free Android device, for example, in some cases. I'm sorry for everyone who else has an Android device. I'm not picking on you. I know there's some great Android devices out there, but people are willing to spend more money for what they perceive to be very, very high quality, whether it's the operating system or the device or what have you. The same thing goes with any product: car, supplements, clothes. If you have true high quality standards in what you're putting together, you put a great design. In our case, the way we're similar to Apple is that they do great design, we do great formulation. They do design and engineering. Our engineering is the thought we put into the formula and the ingredients that we select. And yes, our first, I tell you, you guys are going to be privy to some of the conversations we had when we formulated our products. So, the first criteria when we formulated our product was not how much is it going to cost or how cheap can we make it. Our first criteria was what ingredients can we select that are going to work and have human clinical studies behind them. Once we had decided on those, then we looked at things such as cost or, are there better alternatives or what have you. But that was not number one. Did I answer the question? Because I know I went a little off track there, James.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Okay. Sorry, guys. I saw there's I was picking some battles with the Apple zombies. Good call, Peter. I'm an Apple zombie.
Can you tell me more about what you mean about partnering with other businesses?
About me partnering with other businesses. So, look, if I have a say in how a business is created and the philosophy of that business in terms of what I teach, then I am much more inclined to consider and recommend that business to my business partners as somebody that we could potentially do business with. In other words, recommend their products to our customers. So, I'm not going to sit here and guarantee that you're going to become a Real Dose partner. But what I can say is the people that I'm going to consider are the ones that I know who they are, who's behind them, what their philosophy is, how they put the products together, and how they're promoting them. And that's why I'm so frustrated, because I literally have 4 partners that I promote on the back end for things such as greens. There's a greens product that I recommend. There's a fitness product, because we don't have our own fitness exercise regimen that we recommend on the back end. There's a very, very high quality, for example, olive oil product that we recommend. But those are just a handful of things and there's so many other things that we could be selling in the area of joint pain, in the area of blood sugar control, heart supplements, a wide variety of mental focus and mental acuity and memory, a wide range of things that we could be selling that maybe you, with a product in that market, is something that could bring to us as an opportunity. So it would be premature for you to run to me and say, "Hey, Buck, so can you commit to selling my stuff when I start this business?" No, that's not how it works. But what I can say is, when you're down the road and you've built your business, and I know who you are and I know you by a first name, there's an opportunity for you to not only partner with me, but for me to raise my hand and say, "Hey, I have all these other partners that I work with, and maybe they should take a look at your product too, because I've had a hand in your business." Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And when again is the live event? And can you go over the offer again?
You bet.
People asking.
Yeah, let me just give a quick an overview. So, six weekly calls with me starting on Tuesday, January the 6th. There's going to be a weekly call on that Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern, and we're going to cover one or more of those 11 points that we talked about in the board game blueprint. And we're going to go deep dive into that. It's going to be roll up your sleeves. This is how, and you're actually going to follow along and see how we did it and how we are doing it at Real Dose. That's on Tuesdays, starting Tuesday, January 6th at 1 p.m. Eastern. Then on Thursdays of every week for 6 weeks, at 1 p.m. Eastern, we're going to have a live Q&A call. You're going to be able to get all your questions answered, and if there's extra time, we'll be able to do some hot seats and maybe talk about people that are ready, talk about their individual business situations, and get their questions answered that way. And all of that is going to be recorded and stored into a members area. So what's also included is a members area that will be basically blossoming and growing and becoming a great reference and repository for you to refer back to again and again. And we're going to put checklists and other material in there so that it's really easy for you to go back and refer to it when you're ready. In addition, there's going to be a VIP Rolodex. So you have access to all of my partners in terms of suppliers, trusted suppliers that it's taken me years to establish relationships with and know that they do a great job for me. Okay, so I can't tell you how valuable just that alone and how much time and money that's going to save you having access and being able to be introduced via my VIP Rolodex. And then in addition to that, you're going to have for the fast movers, you're going to have the one-on-one 1 hour consultation with me to talk about your business. That's a $2,000 value. If you're a fast mover, you have a seat to the Health Profits Academy live event, which is being held in Boulder, Colorado, January 23rd, 24th, and 25th. That's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's going to run full days. There's so much to cover all 3 days. And we're going to have not only a concentrated version of the 6-week intensive coaching program, but we're also going to have a lot of very, very valuable guest speakers. We're going to have my suppliers there. We're going to have other guest speakers covering on topics related to building and growing and making your health business a great success. And that it's going to also create an opportunity for you to network with me and with other successful entrepreneurs. And I can tell you, there are going to be a lot of ringers in that room. Boulder is a super hip, super cool place for health companies. And there are going to be a lot of ringers in that room of people that already have successful health businesses that will be riding there right alongside you. So that's the live event. And, like I said, it creates the opportunity for you to continue working with me in the context of you've built a successful business or you're on your way. And, I'm motivated to help help you and see you succeed. You're protected, as I mentioned, by my better than money back guarantee. If you don't feel that you got what you need out of this to be a success, and for any reason whatsoever, you go all the way to the last day of the training and say, Buck, sorry, but it didn't work out for me. I'll say, like I said, with ethical business practices, I'm going to smile. I'm going to say, I understand, no problem. Let me instantly refund you, and let me give you an extra $100 to boot for your troubles. So that's why I'm saying don't hesitate if you're like saying, yeah, this is for me. There's no risk, and plus I've put together a payment plan, or there's an incentive for doing the single pay, but there is a payment plan, and I would just go to healthprofitsacademy.com/James. Check it out. There's a lot more details there. There's some Q&A there, and happy to stay on the line and answer some more questions, James.
All right, and Myra asked this twice, so I want to go ahead and get this.
Sure.
Will there be specific instruction on putting the tech together and pictorials that map out the internet marketing systems clearly, so I can just hand all this off to a web developer and not have to learn all the techie stuff myself? And also with that, do you give training on how to hand it off to outsourcing?
Yeah, I mean, a big component of what I'm teaching is outsourcing. We called it your virtual team, but the ability to not only set up, there are some advantages because some of the systems have gotten so easy now. There are some advantages if you want to save some dollars to learn how to, for example, if you're in Infusionsoft and you want to use the campaign builder to create a campaign visually. And, James, you know what I'm talking about. So if you want to do those kinds of things and save a little money just to have an understanding of the marketing and how things hang together, then I'm going to show you how to do that. But you could certainly take those videos, those training videos, and just hand them off to your web developer or your webmaster in the Philippines and have them do that for you, or pay someone on a project basis. For example, I found a number of my key hires or project people initially on Elance. It's another great resource to go to find people. People use Elance and Odesk to find both full-time and part-time help. And then I also use other resources to find my folks in the Philippines. So the short answer is yes, there will be detailed enough videos on how to assemble the internet marketing systems, how to operate the systems like Entreport that we use in our business to set up the campaigns, and set up the sales funnels, and then if you want to, you can. I would still recommend you go through them just to kind of have an understanding, and then hand them off to someone else to implement if you want to do so.
Okay, let's see. We've got tons and tons of questions. I'm trying to go through here and flag the ones that are most asked. So the live event is 3 weeks after the course starts, halfway through the 6-week course. Is that right?
Sorry, say that again, James.
Not John. Sorry, scrolled off the screen. So the live event is 3 weeks after the course starts? Question mark.
Yes.
Halfway through the 6 weeks. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean the live event. Although you could come to the live event and learn, and like I said, there's going to be a concentrated version of the 6-week coaching. But the advantage you have with the 6-week coaching is you have unprecedented amount of time with me, not just on the training sessions, but with the Q&A sessions and the ability to get your questions answered as you're going along, or listening in on other people getting their questions answered, and or the hot seats that we'll conduct on those calls. So that having access to the expert, to the practitioner, is huge. And that plus then going to the live event, reinstilling that knowledge, plus having access to the other experts that are going to be there, and then the networking. I tell you, there's going to be a lot of people that are savvy that are use that opportunity to make friends with other people, other business owners, other successful business owners, and people, entrepreneurs to be, that they will leverage those relationships down the road. And I have relationships that I've had now for going on 9 years that I continue to carry forward to this day, where they continue to promote my products to this day.
Okay, and Brian wants to know if they can't go to the live event, will you have live recordings, or will you
Yeah.
have recordings of the live event?
Yes. So if you earn one of the bonuses of the live event, and you cannot go, then I will make the recordings available to you. I think the only thing I'll ask is the fulfillment and shipping charge, which will be just a nominal charge. But the recordings will be made available to you if you're unable to go to the live event.
Okay. Ben wants to know what are the advantages. Sorry, Ben, I've seen that question. I've seen your question like 10 times now.
Be persistent, no problem.
Persistent, yes. Ben, thank you. What are the advantages, disadvantages of having medical professionals as owners? For example, a chiropractor and a pharmacist. Are there any special regulations because they're degreed doctors?
I'm partnered with a doc who went to Stanford and went to a top 10 medical school in my business, and that was my second business. My first business, I didn't have a doc. I was able to build a successful business, so I've seen it from both sides. I don't see any disadvantages regulatory-wise. Obviously, you're always subject to the same rules whether you have a doc or not, or don't have a health practitioner in the business with you. You're always subject to the same rules, which are, you have to make claims that are substantiated by scientific evidence. And so that doesn't change just because the doc is saying it. Having a doc obviously adds to the credibility. I've done that. I've been in partner with a doc for the last 3 years. I am going to cover in the training, if for the people that are interested, there may be some docs on the line too. And I know there are doctors that are already going to be in the program there with us. That there are ways that if you're not a doc, there are ways that you could work with docs, either have them as a partner in your business or have them as a spokesperson in exchange for a fee arrangement. And so we're going to go over all of that during the training.
Okay, excellent. How can I find out the formulation of ingredients of a favorite product?
That's a great question. The nice thing about dietary supplement business is sort of like pie. People try to, it's like Coke or pie or something like that. People try to protect their recipes or their formulas, but there's no real way to, patent a formulation of herbal ingredients. I know that the people are patenting certain extraction methods. They're trying to create this intellectual property, but by and large, it's sort of difficult for them to enforce that. So yeah, it is relatively easy to go and reverse engineer somebody else's formula. You can go and to a reputable manufacturer that knows what they're doing. They can look at a formulation and say, well, we can either run some tests on it, or I can, just look at the supplement facts and give you a good idea of what's in here based on what they're claiming. So that can be done through a contract manufacturer that has a formulation and laboratory on site. The other thing is, you don't need to hide necessarily what's in your formula to be a success. This isn't like Coke in the sense that you have to have the formula on a piece of paper in a vault in Atlanta. You could, all of our formulas have ingredients that clearly state the amounts. We just go the extra yard of making sure that the ingredients are the branded or clinically tested ingredients that do what we say they do. And so we get the most expensive versions that have the human double-blind placebo-controlled studies that have been conducted with them, so that we can leverage that in our advertising. And typically we will create a formula that has more than one ingredient in it. So it's not something that you can, like, for example, Garcinia, where they have a single ingredient supplement, and now it's just a matter of how cheap can I sell it, or how cheaply can I make it in order to get the margins that I want. So hopefully that answered the question, James.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Someone asked here, do I white label my line? That was Jolynn. We do not white label, and I actually don't recommend that you white label your products either. I mentioned that we have some partners that you can white label from, but they choose to do that, and they're quality, reputable manufacturers. But what I'm going to teach you to do is to develop your own brand. and to develop your own, yes, you can resell other people, another manufacturer's products for a while, but I'm going to encourage you that once you have success with a formula that's private labeled, that you then start to formulate and sell your own version of it, right? You want to be you want to control your own destiny. Remember that comment about Jeff Bezos and waking up one day and telling you can't sell on Amazon anymore. I want you to own your intellectual property, which is your formula and how you make it, and you sell it under your brand ultimately. And that's our pattern. We formulated our own product. We do not white label our products for anyone. We don't have that program in place. I don't think it's a great business model. I mean, the margins are much better when you sell your own products. Number one, your own formulas. If you private label, the margins drop substantially because then the private label manufacturer wants to make a greater margin, and then ultimately you want to control the customer. That's the other problem. For example, in some cases with a channel like Amazon, is if you're selling through Amazon, you have to go through all these machinations to try to get customer data, whether it's the email address, the phone number, the shipping address, if you're, that sort of thing. It's sort of like, who controls the customer? Amazon says they control it because they have the payment information, but really they're buying your product. So I always recommend taking an approach where you control the customer. They know you. They're buying from you. They know they had a great experience. They're willing to buy from you again.
Okay, excellent. I want to get this question in from Chris. Chris says, is it better to focus on evergreen products versus hot products that may die off, such as Garcinia cambogia? I think you already answered that question, but if you'll cover that again. I'm
not one of those Dr. Oz flavor of the week product guys. So I'm going to have a very different attitude than maybe some other people. I know guys that have made a lot of money in, flavor of the week, Dr. Oz flavor of the week. So I can't say that you would not have some short-term success there. I think that the long-term is going to be evergreen. I mean, we're selling the same weight loss formula that we formulated over 3 years ago today very successfully because it's a great formulation. And that's where you want to be, is you want to be able to make an investment in something that is a great product and turn it into a cash cow. That would be nirvana.
Okay. Mary Ann said, asking again, what are called supplements in the U.S.? Is this the same as what are called complementary, alternative, or natural medicines in other parts of the world? So just a clarification on the definition of supplements. Is that known as complementary, alternative, or natural medicine? I feel like I'm on Jeopardy.
I mean, depending on the country, they may refer to an herbal. For example, I know that there's the Commission E monographs in Germany where they actually treat these botanicals as drugs, and they have a whole like PDR, which is the physician's desk reference for pharmaceuticals. They have like a PDR, which I think is called the Commission E monographs. You can go to Amazon and get a copy of it that's translated into English. So some countries treat these botanicals as if they're drugs, and they would call them alternative medicines. Some of them have regulations that are different than what we have in the United States. So if you wanted to go and manufacture there and have a fulfillment center in another country that where the rules are different, it might be a more difficult than if you did your manufacturing in the U.S., had a fulfillment center in the U.S. and shipped internationally from there. We have methods that I teach and that we employ at Real Dose that makes it much easier for us to get products from a personal use standpoint shipped into those countries without any trouble. Okay, but yeah, I think the short answer is yes. Different countries call it different names. And some countries treat those botanicals as if they are drugs.
Okay, and if you live outside the U.S., do you recommend using a U.S. company to manufacture your products? And we've had other questions before about if you live in the U.S., do you recommend going offshore to get the ingredients? Do you absolutely need to have U.S. labs? What are your thoughts on that?
So the first question, I think that there are significant advantages to having your dealing with U.S. Entities for manufacturing, just because we are much more sophisticated in this market, and we are it's a much more open market. So our ability to get things done and get quality products formulated, it's a double-edged sword, right? That there are companies out there that you can that will make crap for you. So that's the bad news, is that this the Shea Act, and there's a lot of bad actors out there, and if you go and just do it on your own and don't know who to turn to, you could pick the wrong one and get burned. But if you pick the right folks and work with quality formulators and manufacturers, I think there's a big advantage to doing that in the U.S., even if you're living outside the U.S. And I would say there's an advantage to setting up maybe a U.S. entity to deal with those companies. And what was the second part of the question about?
Well, would you ever go out, to an overseas supplier?
Okay, yeah. I mean, many of our ingredients, quite frankly, actually come from overseas companies. So many of our branded ingredients might come from a lab in India or in France or in Canada. So from that perspective, the ingredient world, and I go to all the trade shows that have to deal with these types of novel dietary supplement ingredients. They are literally, it's a world market. It's not a U.S. market, and most of these herbs are not grown in the U.S.
All right. Another question about ingredients. If you're buying prime ingredients and paying top dollar, how do you compete price-wise? And I just want to go back to what you said before. You're marketing that product up at a minimum of 500%.
Yes.
So that's how you're able to.
You have to have enough markup. Number one, right? So that 5 to 10 times is kind of a barometer. Obviously, you want to do your homework in terms of what other products are being sold to that market. But I would not have a business plan where I'm trying to be the low cost provider. I never want to fight that battle. We made a decision to be literally, the Apple or the Zappos or the high-end or the Lexus, whatever you want to call it, of our space, so that we're making premium products. We're selling to savvy buyers that are willing to look beyond just the hype and look at the science and the message that we're putting out there, and are willing to make an investment in their health. And I tell you, the people respond to that. People really respond, especially the markets where people have, I imagine a lot of people on the line today might be of a certain age, like I am. I'm about to turn 50, and so they've been there and done that. They've seen just about everything. They know that there's a lot of hype out there, and they're willing to go and drill in and ask the tough questions. And so, by putting a quality product with a great marketing system around it, they'll invest. And those are the people that are more affluent. They have the money to not only spend more per transaction, but they're going to come back and buy more frequently from you. So that's why, number one, I think it's better for you to go after an upscale brand, have more expensive products, and therefore, if you charge more, you can then invest in the ingredients that go along with that.
Okay, excellent. And with that, we were way over time here, so
we still got a lot of people on the line, Jane. So
there's still tons of questions. But what I want to do is, first off, go over the offer real quick again.
Sure.
Just so everyone knows. There's a little bit of confusion about the bonus.
Okay.
So the bonus is good for the first, is it 10?
Yeah, the one-on-one consultation. I'm not even looking to see where we are with the numbers, but the one-on-one consultation is with me for 1 hour. You can book that anytime when you're ready. That's the first 10 that respond. The first 20 that respond get the seat at the Health Profits Live event in Boulder on January 23rd to the 25th. And that's going to be an amazing event. And then, as I mentioned, you get the 6 weeks live coaching or 6 weeks live training on Tuesdays at 1 p.m. You get the 6 weeks of Q&A calls on Thursdays at 1 p.m. You get the access to the members area. You get the VIP Rolodex. You get all the tools that you need to be successful. You get support from myself and my staff. There will be, although we don't have it all decided yet how that's going to manifest itself, but we'll be talking about ways for you to continue getting ongoing support after the 6-week program is over. So I know that was one of the questions that came up. All of those, everything that you need to walk you through everything that we did to build Real Dose Nutrition, and basically avoiding all the pitfalls, right? I might, in some cases, talk about a pitfall as an instruction to say, this is what you want to stay away from because we made this mistake. But I'm going to be guiding you like that Sherpa, taking you up the mountain, up Mount Everest, so that you can be successful and have your own business. And then, as I mentioned before, the ability to, not only have a business that, I might consider recommending your products to my customers. And I just, as I mentioned, I've got over 300,000 customers, but other of my partners might be interested in promoting your products to their customers. So, but I tell you what, whether I promote your stuff or not, you're going to have all the tools to go and be in control of your own destiny. You're not going to have the Jeff Bezos effect of him waking up and saying, you can't sell on my channel anymore, because you're going to know how to market on Facebook, Google, Yahoo, Bing, native ads, and all these other platforms that I take advantage of.
Okay, now we have a question here from someone who is registered for the course, and they want to know.
Oh, congratulations!
For their live event.
They want to know.
Or is that a separate registration?
Yeah. So I will. What I'm going to do is a member of my team will follow up with you to just confirm that you're coming to the live event, and then we will send you the details for what hotel and how to get booked.
Okay. And I will just. I'm kind of going to go out on a limb on here, and Buck might shoot me afterwards.
Oh no!
If you grab this tonight, then you will get one of the fast mover bonuses. But after tonight, then we can't guarantee that. But I will tell you that the reason I say that is because we're going to have, Buck has agreed to do a rebroadcast of this presentation on Friday afternoon, because I know we've got a ton of questions that went unanswered, and I'm really sorry about that, but literally had hundreds of questions. So I was going through trying to ask the most frequently asked ones as we went.
Yeah.
So Buck has agreed to come back on Friday afternoon at 4 o'clock, right, Buck?
Yes.
4 o'clock Eastern.
I'm just shocked at the response. So this okay. Yes, you. I will accommodate everyone that signs up tonight. I will accommodate for the Q&A. I mean, not for the Q&A, for the call with me and the seat at the live event. I'm going to go out on a limb and accommodate you tonight. So, James, you have my commitment on that.
I hope you will break the limb.
Okay. Thanks, James. I wish you had told me earlier.
I guarantee that tonight. Well, I said that because we're going to have this rebroadcast. So I just want to make it clear that if you're on the rebroadcast, then they might all be on by then.
So tonight, don't sweat it. Don't sit here worrying, but get it. I would get it done tonight, because I guarantee you, we're going to hit the limit. And so that's it's going to be an amazing, amazing event. And I'm also looking forward to talking to everybody that's already signed up. Congratulations, by the way. So I've just been literally here watching the questions. That's all I'm focused on right now, because I want you guys to be successful. I want to get whether you sign up or not, I want you to get your questions answered. If you're thinking about doing this some other time in your life or what have you, that's fine. I just want to make sure your questions are answered tonight. And if you're the right kind of person, that you can join me in the winners column of having a great, successful online health business that does great things and helps a lot of people. I can't tell you how warm and fuzzy I feel when I think about the 300,000 people, 300,000 customers, because I go back and read. I wish I had printed this out ahead of time. I go back. We have this program that we run. I'm going to share this with you because I know we're running over. Called our Net Promoter Score. We ask a question of every customer after they buy from us. What is the likelihood of you recommending our product to a friend or family member on a scale of 1 to 10. Some of you might be familiar with that question. It's called The Ultimate Question, and there's a book by that name that I highly recommend you go and read. But we ask that question. If we get a 9 or 10, we know we're doing a pretty good job. If we get a 6, 7, or 8, it's sort of like, eh. If we get anything less than a 6, terrible. That's bad news. So a 5 is bad news. And we are constantly measuring ourselves and improving ourselves. And in fact, for some of our product categories, we're off the charts in terms of our Net Promoter Score. But we're always measuring it. We're measuring how fast we answer the phones. It's just an attitude that we have about helping people and taking care of people. And we get these glowing testimonials of the lives that we've impacted and how we've helped people. I mean, I was so amazed to hear that story that you told earlier, James, about the guy that just chimed in about supplements. But we get these amazing stories of people that have lost, we're in the weight loss category, for example, and that have lost 80 pounds or 100 pounds, or how they've shared, that this has changed their lives, or how our agents, because we enable them to spend a lot of time with customers and be so liberal in the return policies are taking care of them, how they couldn't believe how well they are treated. I want you to have that philosophy, whether you choose to come on this journey with me as your Sherpa, or hopefully you've taken away enough, if you don't have me as your guide, that at least those philosophies will be instilled in you when you embark on building your own online health business.
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it, man. I really appreciate you coming on tonight. We've got a couple of other real quick things here. Mm-hmm. Janet says, are there still spots available for the one-on-one consultation?
Yes.
Janet, what we've done is Buck is allowing that until the end of the webinar tonight. So as long as you pick it up tonight, then he will guarantee you one-on-one consultation and live event.
Yep.
Seat to the live event.
I'm feeling nervous right now. I need to make so yeah, I'm gonna make room. So yeah, fantastic. It's so valuable. I can't express to you how valuable the consultation and I mean the whole course, obviously, but then also the live event and the consultation with me.
All right. Second thing I want to discuss real quick before we leave, and we are way over time, but I want to offer a bonus to everyone. I want to offer everyone who purchases tonight an extra coaching session provided by me, and it's going to be on how to get traffic to your supplement business website, wherever your supplements are, even if they're on Amazon, it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. How to get traffic, how to get very, very specific targeted traffic to your supplements. Yep. And we'll do that coaching session after Buck's coaching is over. So after the live event, mm-hmm. we'll have an online session for that. And that will be online. And I'll do a session probably a couple of hours on exactly how I'm doing it, because I'm building my supplement business as well. I'm actually in the dog supplement business, and we had a few people that were asking questions about that.
Yes.
That's a great business to be in, and I'm going to tell you exactly how I'm getting tons of traffic to my supplement offerings, and I'll do that as a special coaching session.
That's very generous of you. That's a very valuable training. And James, I knew you were in the dog supplement business, so that's fantastic news. And this does apply for folks that are interested in getting into the pet supplement space. My training as well.
Yeah, and just FYI, my training is not just though for pet supplements. I'm in awesome. Pet supplements. It'll work for any supplements.
Great. Excellent. Well, I think we went over, but it was great Q&A. It was a great session. I'm just amazed at the people that are still on the line. Thank you so much. We're going to go through, and if we didn't get the questions answered, I'm going to make sure that over the next couple days I go through and get your questions answered. And for those of you who've already made the decision to come along with me on this journey, I'm really excited for you, and I'm really excited to work with you. So thank you again, and thank you, James, for putting this on.
Yeah, thank you, Buck. And again, we're going to do a rebroadcast of this on Friday afternoon at 4 o'clock. So if your question was not answered, please come on in, and we will get to as many of those as possible, okay?
Fantastic.
So thanks for coming, and we'll talk to you later.
Have a great evening, everybody.
Good night. Good night, Buck.
Bye.